Thanks so much for watching today's Drawing for Kids video brought to you by the Ann Arbor District Library and the Ann Arbor Art Center. Today we are going to be painting these lovely summery sunflower paintings, and these are inspired by the post-impressionist artists, and we're going to be talking here about Vincent Van Gogh and his use here of really painterly thick brush strokes. You can see that there in this painting of the sunflowers, and he's also and then also in this one you can see it as well. So he's really known for his bold, bright use of color in these really beautiful starry night landscapes, as well as portraits and sunflowers. Now, another post-impressionist artist is named George Seurat, and in his work we see the use of dots. And so this painting here is made up of a bunch of teeny little dots, just like this. So you can see that here close up. You can see each individual dot, but before it was kind of hard to tell that the whole painting was made up of dots. So the post-impressionists used a lot of different styles, and they made their brushwork really seen. So in our paintings here of a sunflower, you can really design your drawing however you'd like. I'm going to sketch out 3 sunflowers. And you can make your petals a similar shape like mine with a circular round center. The petals are kind of a teardrop shape, but you don't have to do it the same way that I'm doing it. I'm kind of making it a little bit more stylized, so you can do that. Regardless, you're going to want to sketch this out lightly in pencil first. Once you have everything sketched out, then you can go ahead with your Q-tip and dip it into whether it's watercolor paint or acrylic paint, whatever you have on hand. And if you don't want to do it this way, you can also just simply use a marker. Markers are a great tool because if you just simply stamp with the marker onto your paper, you will get a nice round dot. Just be careful not to press too hard. You don't want to ruin the tip of your marker. So depending on whatever tools that you are using to make your art project today, just make sure that you are being really careful to not scribble, and that you are continuing to use a dot. You don't want to draw a line necessarily. You can, if you really feel inclined to outline and trace a line around the flowers themselves, then you can do that. However, at the very end, you'll see I'll erase my pencil lines, and it really will look fantastic without needing an outline. But this does take some time, so definitely take your time as you're doing this. You're going to see that I'm going to layer a lot of different colors. So I'm going to go ahead and start speeding up my process just so that you don't watch me place these little dots at 1 per second, because it does take a while. But be patient with yourself. If you decide to just do 1 flower, that is okay. You don't have to do 3 flowers. So here you can see how I have layered a couple different shades of brown. So depending on what colors you have there with your watercolor paints, then you can just add a little bit of black to it, or you can dilute your brown as well to make it a little bit lighter by adding more water. And then you can see too how I'm adding in some oranges. So depending on your color palette that you have in your watercolor set, you can add orange, you can mix a little bit of orange with your yellow. You could even put a little bit of red in there and a little bit of brown. So you can see how I've got a couple different shades of orange as well as some brown to add some shadows and more detail. And then as I move around towards my stems, I can start also adding in some greens as well as some yellows and other colors. So again, think about how you can mix your colors, and that you can use a couple different colors into one, and you can kind of do a little bit of mixing. Just be careful not to, especially with your yellow, it's very easy in a watercolor set to accidentally turn your yellow into another color, but don't worry, it cleans up really well with just some water. center. And then once you have this pretty much covered, you can start adding in your background. I just picked a very simple blue color, but depending on what markers you have or colors that you have, you can add in lots of purples or different shades of blue depending on what you have available. So I hope you enjoyed today's art lesson.